The melody of Hope Waiko stepped off the train and stood on the platform, her suitcase by her side. The station clock read 8:45 p.m. A cool breeze brushed against her cheeks. She took a deep breath and looked around. Tall buildings rose like giants in the night sky, their windows glowing. The city felt alive and strange, full of possibilities and loneliness. In her hand, she held a single photo, herself and her grandmother, smiling under cherry blossoms. Grandma had raised her in a quiet village by the sea, teaching her to sing lullabies. Grandma's voice was warm, gentle, like the sea breeze. When Grandma passed away 6 months ago, Aiko promised to chase her dream, becoming a singer in the Ai city. The taxi ride was silent. Aiko kept the photo on her lap and stared out the window. Neon signs flickered. Cars honked, people hurried by. She didn't know anyone here. She felt both excited and terrified. She pressed her knuckles against her forehead, trying to hold back tears. "I can do this," she whispered. Yet her heart trembled. Her new apartment was small, a single room with a narrow bed, a kitchenette, and a small desk by the window. Aiko unpacked her things slowly, her clothes, her notebook of songs, and a worn-out dictionary. She hung the photo of Grandma on the wall above the bed. Then she turned on a small lamp and sat on the edge of her bed, gazing at the glow. Later that night, she took out her notebook and began to sing softly. "When the moonlight shines and the stars sing softly, I will find my voice, I will find my way." Her voice cracked on the last line. She closed her eyes, imagining Grandma's smile, and tried again. This time, the melody was smoother, filled with longing and love. The next morning, Aiko left early to explore the neighborhood. She walked past bakeries, bookstores, and small cafes. An old woman waved from a fruit stand. Aiko smiled shyly and waved back. The woman offered her a tangerine. "On the house," she said. Aiko accepted, biting into the juicy fruit. Sweet and bright, it warmed her soul. At a cafe, Aiko ordered tea and a slice of honey cake. She sat by the window with her notebook. She scribbled lyrics, humming tunes under her breath. A barista noticed her notebook. "Are you a writer?" he asked kindly. She shook her head. "I'm a singer," she said softly. His eyes lit up. "Amazing. We have an open mic night here on Wednesdays. You should sing." Aiko's heart pounded. I don't know," she stammered. The barista smiled. "No pressure. Just come watch, meet other musicians. You might feel at home." She nodded, thanked him, and left, clutching her diary. All day she thought about the invitation. Could she really sing in front of strangers? At night, she practiced her song by her window. 2 days later, Wednesday arrived. Aiko arrived at the cafe early. The small room buzzed with chatter. 4 performers had already signed up. She found an empty chair near the stage and sat, her legs shaking. The room grew quiet as the first performer, a guitarist, played a heartfelt ballad. Aiko listened, mesmerized by the raw emotion in his voice. Each performer shared their story through song. When the barista announced the last slot, Aiko surprised herself by standing up. Her heart raced as she took the stage. The spotlight felt warm. She gripped the microphone. Her voice trembled at first, but then she remembered Grandma's lullabies, the promise she made. She began. Under cherry blossom's soft embrace, I hear your gentle voice, guiding me through darkened days, helping me to rejoice. Her tone grew stronger with each line. The audience fell silent, captivated. When she sang the final note, a hush lingered. Then applause burst forth. Aiko's eyes filled with tears. She bowed, her heart full. Back at her table, the barista handed her a fresh tangerine. He winked. She laughed and savored the sweet fruit. After the show, a young man approached. Your voice, it moved me, he said softly. I'm Kenji. I play piano. Would you like to jam sometime? Aiko nodded eagerly, her cheeks flushed. They exchanged numbers. Walking home afterward, she realized she was smiling more than she had in months. 3 days turned into weeks. Aiko and Kenji practiced songs together in her tiny living room. He taught her new chords, she showed him her lyrics. They laughed at wrong notes, cheered at smooth harmonies. The apartment filled with music and friendship. Aiko's confidence grew. She started to speak to strangers in cafes, to introduce herself as a singer. Still, some mornings she woke with doubt. She would stare at the city skyline and wonder if she belonged. On those days, she revisited the photo of Grandma and sang quietly. The lullabies wrapped around her like a comforting hug. She reminded herself, I am strong, I am brave, I sing because I love. One afternoon, Kenji invited her to a recording studio. I'm meeting a producer, he said. Aiko's heart skipped. Inside the compact studio, she watched through the glass as Kenji played his piano for the producer, a tall woman with bright eyes. Then he gestured for Aiko. She stepped in, adjusted the mic, and sang a new song they wrote together, River of Dreams. 16, her voice echoed in the room, soft at first, then building into fullness. The producer tapped her foot, nodded, and smiled. When the song ended, the producer sat in silence for a moment. Then she said, I hear something special. I'd like to record this track officially. Aiko's eyes shone. She barely whispered, thank you. 17 that evening, Aiko and Kenji sat on a bench by the river. City lights reflected in the water. They held hands. I'm so proud of you, Kenji said. Aiko leaned her head on his shoulder. I couldn't have done it without you, she replied. They watched the gentle current flow by, carrying tiny lanterns of light. Recording days arrived. In the studio, Aiko sang again and again, perfecting each note. Tex adjusted levels, gave her water and encouragement. She learned to breathe through nerves, to find the right emotion. At home, she collapsed on her bed, exhausted but exhilarated. She dreamed of the day her song would reach the world. One Saturday morning, Aiko woke to a text from the producer. Your single drops next week. Interviews start tomorrow. Are you ready? Aiko's pulse raced. She spent the day preparing answers, practicing introductions, rehearsing shy smiles in the mirror. At dusk, she sat on her windowsill, gazing at the sky, and whispered, I'm ready. 20 the next day, reporters crowded into the cafe where she had first sung. Cameras flashed as she arrived, nerves fluttering in her stomach. The barista waved from behind the counter and she waved back. He mouthed, "You've got this." She breathed deeply and walked forward to face the waiting microphones and bright lights. Questions came fast. What inspired the song? How did you overcome fear? What's next? Aiko answered with honesty. My grandmother's memory guides me. I remember her voice every time I sing. When I was scared, I held on to hope. Her words flowed clearly. Her smile was genuine. The crowd listened, moved by her sincerity. Later that day, the single River of Dreams appeared on streaming platforms. Kenji sent her a screenshot. Thousands of listeners and climbing. Aiko stared at the numbers in disbelief. She clicked. Play. Her own voice filled her ears, carrying every emotion she had poured into it. She closed her eyes, tears of joy warm on her cheeks. In the following days, messages of support poured in from strangers around the country. Your song lifted me, wrote one. Thank you for sharing your heart, wrote another. Aiko read each message and felt a tide of gratitude. She realized her fear had transformed into courage, her loneliness into connection. One rainy afternoon, Aiko returned to the cafe. She ordered her usual tea and honey cake. The barista greeted her with a wide grin. Congrats on the single, he said. She thanked him and sat by the window. Thunder rumbled softly. Outside, raindrops danced on the pavement. A small stray dog shook itself under the awning. The dog was thin and cautious, with muddy paws and sad eyes. Aiko's heart clenched. She knelt and held out her hand. The dog sniffed, then licked her fingers. She opened her bag and gave it half her sandwich. The dog gobbled it gratefully. Aiko patted its head gently. Come with me? She asked softly. The dog wagged its tail slowly. She led the dog back to her apartment. Inside, the dog sniffed every corner, then curled up on an old blanket Aiko found. She filled 2 bowls, one for water, one for food. The dog ate hungrily. Aiko watched, her heart swelling. She whispered, I'll call you Hope. Hope looked up as if understanding. Aiko felt a new warmth bloom inside her. 7 Hope became Aiko's constant companion. Every morning they walked through bustling streets to the river park. Aiko practiced, singing while Hope sat quietly, listening with bright, attentive eyes. People stopped to smile. Aiko introduced them. This is Hope. Sometimes she sang a few lines aloud. Hope barked softly as if applauding. Aiko began to include Hope in her social media posts. A photo of them by the river, a video of her singing with Hope's gentle bark at the end. Followers loved it. Comments called Hope the little guardian. Aiko laughed every time she read them. She posted a short story. Hope found me when I needed a friend. Now I sing for both of us. 29 through the seasons, they grew together. In summer, they strolled under green canopies, Hope chasing butterflies. In autumn, they walked under crimson and gold leaves, Hope crunching them under gentle paws. In winter, they carved snow tracks, and Aiko sang carols into the cold air. In spring, under blooming cherry trees, Aiko performed at an outdoor concert, with Hope seated proudly by her feet. The day of the outdoor concert arrived on a crisp spring afternoon. A banner read, "City Spring Festival." Aiko's heart fluttered as she set up on stage. Hope sat at the edge, looking up with gentle trust. The crowd filled the park, children on parents' shoulders, friends chatting excitedly. Aiko closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She began with "River of Dreams," her voice clear and melodic. Behind her, the cherry blossoms danced. Hope wagged her tail in time. When the song ended, applause rolled like thunder. Then Aiko introduced a new song, in homage to Grandma. Under petals white and pink, your spirit floats in springtime's breeze. Her voice grew soft, then strong, as she poured every longing, every memory into the melody. Tears glistened on her cheeks. Hope stood and barked once, a simple gesture that felt like a standing ovation. After the performance, a little girl approached, holding a handmade card. "Thank you for your song," she said shyly. "It made me happy." Aiko knelt, hugged the girl gently, and said, "Thank you for listening." She looked at Hope, who licked the girl's hand. Aiko realized she had found her stage, her voice, and a family beyond blood. That night in her apartment, Aiko placed fresh blossoms in a vase by the window. She sang a lullaby, one Grandma taught her, while Hope settled on her lap. The melody filled the room with nostalgia and peace. When the last note faded, Aiko whispered, "I am home." In the weeks that followed, offers came, invitations to perform on radio, to collaborate with other artists, even a chance to travel abroad. Aiko read each message thoughtfully, grateful but grounded. She thought of Grandma, of Hope, of that little cafe that believed in her. She knew her journey had only begun. Late one evening, Aiko walked by the river alone, Hope trotting beside her. The city lights sparkled on the water. She closed her eyes and listened. The distant hum of traffic, the gentle lapping of water, Hope's soft panting. Then she began to sing, softly, for no audience but the moon itself. "I have found my melody, a song of hope and love. With every step I take, you guide me from above." 36 Hope sat and listened, head tilted. Aiko's voice, once tentative, was now confident and true. She opened her eyes and saw a shooting star streak across the night sky. She smiled and made a silent wish to share her music with the world, to carry Grandma's legacy, to welcome every new dawn with hope. Months turned into years. Aiko released an album, performed on stages big and small, and touched hearts far beyond the city's borders. Yet she never forgot the small beginnings. The first open mic night, the kind barista, the orange given with kindness, the stray dog she named Hope. She built a music school in her old neighborhood, teaching children to sing, to dream, to believe in themselves. She shared her story often, reminding them, "Fear is natural, but hope can carry you through." Every student left her classroom with a sparkle in their eyes, just as she once did. One spring morning, Aiko stood under the cherry blossoms with a group of young singers. Among them was a shy girl clutching a photo of her late grandmother. Aiko smiled, remembering herself. She called the girl forward and said, "Sing for her." The girl took a deep breath and began. Her voice trembled, then blossomed. As petals drifted around them like confetti, Aiko closed her eyes and let the music wash over her. Hope sat at her side, faithful as ever. In that moment, Aiko realized, music is more than melody. It is memory, connection, and an everlasting song of hope. Feel free to read it aloud multiple times. Pause at commas and full stops. Let the emotions guide your tone and pacing. Practice difficult words, repeat phrases, and most importantly, enjoy connecting with the heart of the story.